one that Nephi saw because there's a lot of controversy surrounding Christopher Columbus. And I don't have time to get into that, but in the book, we get very much into that. It's a warts and all analysis of Christopher Columbus. We don't shy away from the major mistakes he made, but there's more to the story. And when you look at the story in its entirety, there's no question that notwithstanding that, the Lord could still use him in his sin. I'll just leave it at that. But I will tell you this, that when Christopher Columbus came to the New World, he documented certain things. He knew that he had found the world, for example, where the land whereupon would be built the New Jerusalem that was the original place of the Garden of Eden. Think about that. That's Latter-day Saint doctrine that wasn't restored for hundreds of years until Joseph Smith came and the Doctrine and Covenants revealed these things. Columbus was inspired. He did receive amazing revelation. Also, Orson Hyde, an apostle of God, gave a talk in the Tabernacle where he talked about that the Prince Guardian of America, the angel Moroni, was in the boat with Columbus, inspiring, prompting. And it's interesting, and you can read about in the book, Columbus, in fact, documents an angelic visit that he received. And he was, in fact, told amazing things. So he's a complex guy, and the book will analyze all of that. But he's an important part of the narrative, the gathering of Israel. Someone had to find the land. Then Nephi shows us the pilgrims. The pilgrims come over, and they have their Bible, he says. And he says that the Bible that they carry with them will be of great worth to the Gentiles. And by the way, Gentiles, don't be confused. The definition of Gentile, if you look at it in the Book of Mormon dictionary, says that it doesn't mean that there's not Israelite blood in the Gentile. It just means, in the way the Book of Mormon uses it, it just means that they hail from apostate lands. So don't think that we can't be talking about Joseph here. This is Joseph. But it says that these Gentiles that come over with their book, with their Bible in hand, it says something interesting. Nephi, the angel tells Nephi that inside the book that they carry are the covenants of Israel, and great is the worth of these covenants of Israel to the pilgrims. Why would that be? Well, because they are Israel. And when they get to the New World, they start calling themselves the New Israel. Think about that. Why do they do that? Thanksgiving is based on the ancient tradition of the Feast of the Tabernacles, the Sukkot. And they start naming their children after Israelite names, and their towns, there's like 1,000 or more towns in New England named after biblical locales because they were trying to be Israel. They couldn't deduce that from an academic standpoint or scriptural standpoint. They were a lost tribe. But as Isaiah talks about this new covenant that's written in our hearts, they sensed who they were, and they called themselves the New Israel. In fact, one of the Puritans who came later after the Pilgrims was a man named Samuel Sewall, one of the prominent settlers of Salem. In fact, he was the only one that came out and renounced and pled for forgiveness for any role he played in the Salem witch trials. He's a very spiritual guy. He said that he had a revelation that they were building the New Jerusalem, but that it wasn't in New England, but somewhere in the middle of the continent. Again, think about that. Joseph Smith reveals to us in the Doctrine and Covenants that he was instructed by God to go to Salem in Doctrine and Covenants 1:11. And God said, go there and learn about the ancient inhabitants of this city, because there's more than one blessing or treasure for you in this town. And so he might have stumbled upon Samuel Sewall and recognized that they made the same prophecies, that in the middle of North America would be the place of the New Jerusalem, the actual metropolis, the millennial metropolis is how Samuel Sewall described it. This was the new Israel. Nephi saw them, and when he said they needed their Bible because in the Bible was the covenants of the house of Israel, they needed it because they were living those covenants. They actually tried to make Hebrew, these early settlers tried to make Hebrew the official language of the United States of America. It didn't pass the legislature, and we speak English, but that's who they were. Then we are told, after the pilgrims, we see the revolution.